The Chicago Sky just pulled the trigger on the most controversial decision in WNBA history, and Angel Reese's career might never recover from what they're about to do. What started as behind closed doors tension has exploded into a full-scale organizational revolt that's sending shockwaves through the entire league. The Sky's latest move isn't just about benching their supposed franchise player. They're systematically dismantling everything Angel Reese built. And the way they're doing it is absolutely ruthless. Here's what nobody's telling you about the real situation in Chicago. The Sky organization has been secretly documenting every single incident with Reese since the season started, building what insiders are calling a nuclear file that could end any chance she has of landing with another team. We're talking about practice footage, recorded conversations, and testimonies from teammates that paint a picture so damaging, even her biggest supporters are jumping ship. If you think this is just about basketball, drop a comment below and let me know if you think the Sky are going too far, but trust me, this goes way deeper than anyone realizes. The breaking point came during last week's practice when Reese allegedly told rookie Camila Cardoso that she was stealing her rebounds and needed to know her role. Think about that for a second. A player who's supposed to be a leader telling a teammate not to play hard because it makes her stats look bad. Cardoso, who's been nothing but professional, reportedly went straight to management and said she wanted a trade if this continued. When your own rookie is ready to leave because of your behavior, you've crossed every line imaginable. But that wasn't even the worst part of what went down. Sources inside the organization are revealing that Reese has been actively sabotaging plays designed for other players. During the game against Connecticut, she deliberately broke off from set plays 6 different times when the ball wasn't coming to her. Coach Teresa Weatherspoon was caught on camera throwing her clipboard in frustration, and now we know why. The team's offensive efficiency drops by 43% when Reese decides she's not getting enough touches. That's not being competitive. That's being a cancer to your team. What happened next shocked everyone in the basketball world. The Sky's ownership group held an emergency meeting where they voted unanimously to explore every possible option to remove Reese from the roster. They're not just looking at trades anymore. They're considering the nuclear option of buying out her contract entirely and eating millions of dollars just to get her out of the building. When billionaire owners are willing to lose money to get rid of you, you know you've become completely toxic. The other players' reactions tell you everything you need to know about this situation. Marina Mabrey, who's been carrying the offensive load, reportedly told management she's done pretending everything's fine. Dana Evans has been running the point guard position brilliantly, but she's exhausted from having to manage Reese's ego on top of running the offense. Even veterans who usually stay neutral are speaking up. One player who requested anonymity said Reese makes practices absolutely miserable and that the team actually looks forward to her missing games. Meanwhile, look at what's happening in Indiana with Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Clark is elevating every single player around her, making Kelsey Mitchell look like an MVP candidate and turning Aaliyah Boston into one of the most dominant centers in the league. Sophie Cunningham just joined the team, and she's already talking about championship culture and team chemistry. The contrast between Indiana's positive environment and Chicago's toxic situation couldn't be more obvious. Clark leads by example, while Reese leads by demanding and complaining. The financial implications are absolutely devastating for Chicago. Season ticket holders are canceling in record numbers. We're talking about a 78% drop in renewals for next season. Corporate sponsors are running for the exits faster than you can say technical foul. 3 major sponsors have already pulled out completely, and 2 more are threatening to leave if changes aren't made immediately. The Sky went from having one of the most marketable young stars to having a PR nightmare that's costing them millions. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Sky have been quietly reaching out to other teams about potential trades, and the responses they're getting are brutal. The Phoenix Mercury's front office reportedly laughed when Chicago mentioned Reese's name. The Seattle Storm said they wouldn't take her even if Chicago included draft picks. Even rebuilding teams like the Dallas Wings are saying thanks, but no thanks. When nobody in the entire league wants your supposed franchise player, what does that tell you about her real value? The coaching staff is at their breaking point too. Assistant coaches who've been in the league for decades are saying they've never dealt with anything like this. One coach revealed that Reese shows up late to film sessions, rolls her eyes during team meetings, and openly questions coaching decisions in front of other players. She's created an environment where younger players are afraid to succeed because they don't want to upset her. That's not leadership, that's straight up bullying. What makes this even more embarrassing is that Reese had every advantage possible. The Sky built their entire system around her strengths. They brought in complementary players specifically to help her succeed. They gave her the green light to be the focal point of the offense. They marketed her as the face of the franchise. And she repaid them by publicly questioning whether her teammates were good enough to win championships while she's shooting under 40% from the field and leading the league in turnovers. The statistical reality is absolutely brutal for Reese. Despite all the hype about her rebounding, she's averaging more turnovers than assists. Her player efficiency rating ranks in the bottom 15% of the entire league. She's fouling out at a historic rate. Literally no player in WNBA history has fouled out of more games in their first 2 seasons. Advanced metrics show the Sky are better in literally every single category when she's on the bench. How do you justify keeping a player like that when she's also destroying your locker room? But that wasn't the whole story of how this imploded. The real bombshell came when audio leaked from a players-only meeting where Reese allegedly said some of her teammates weren't WNBA caliber and that she was carrying scrubs. Imagine being Courtney Williams or Kalia Copper, proven veterans with years of success, and hearing a second-year player who can't make a layup consistently calling you a scrub. The disrespect was so outrageous that several players walked out of the meeting entirely. The ripple effects are going to destroy Chicago's future for years. Free agents are already crossing the Sky off their list for next season. One all-star caliber player told her agent she'd rather play overseas than deal with Chicago's drama. Draft prospects are reportedly hoping they don't get selected by the Sky. When your reputation becomes so toxic that players actively avoid your organization, you're looking at a rebuild that could take half a decade. What's really wild is that Reese still doesn't seem to understand what she's done wrong. She's been posting on social media about being misunderstood and how she's just passionate about winning. But when you're dead last in shooting percentage among starting forwards, maybe focus on your own game before attacking teammates who've actually won at this level. The lack of self-awareness is absolutely staggering. The league office is watching this situation closely too. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is reportedly furious about how this reflects on the WNBA just as they're gaining mainstream attention. The league has worked hard to build a culture of professionalism and respect, especially with all the new media deals coming up. Having a high-profile player create this kind of chaos goes against everything they're trying to build. Sources say Engelbert has personally spoken with Sky ownership about finding a resolution quickly. Here's something nobody's talking about yet. The Sky have already identified Reese's replacement, and they're preparing to go all in during free agency and the draft. They'd rather completely tear down and rebuild than continue dealing with this nightmare. Management has told the coaching staff to prepare game plans that don't include Reese, and they're already implementing them in practice. The message is crystal clear. Angel Reese's time in Chicago is over. The fan reaction has been absolutely brutal. Chicago fans who once defended Reese are turning on her in massive numbers. Social media is flooded with demands to trade or release her immediately. Jersey sales have dropped by 86%. The few fans still supporting her are getting drowned out by the overwhelming negativity. When you lose your own fan base in a city that's desperate for winning basketball, there's no coming back from that. What happened next would shock everyone even more. The Sky's ownership group is now exploring legal options to void Reese's contract based on conduct detrimental to the team. They're building a case that her behavior constitutes a breach of her professional obligations. If they succeed, it would be unprecedented in WNBA history, but they're willing to fight this battle in court if necessary. That's how desperate they are to move on from this disaster. The psychological impact on the team has been devastating. Players are reportedly seeking therapy to deal with the stress of the situation. Some are taking mental health days just to avoid the toxic environment. The team chemistry that's supposed to be the foundation of success has been completely shattered. You can see it on the court. Players don't celebrate together, they don't communicate effectively, and they look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Meanwhile, other young stars around the league are taking notice and learning what not to do. Players like Aaliyah Boston in Indiana and Cameron Brink, when she returns from injury, are seeing exactly how quickly you can destroy your reputation and career by putting yourself above the team. They're watching Reese implode and making sure they never follow that path. The cautionary tale is being written in real time. The trade market reality is even worse than initially reported. Not only are teams not interested in Reese, but some are actively warning other organizations to stay away. One Eastern Conference GM called her untradeable and said they wouldn't take her if Chicago paid her entire salary. When executives are willing to go on record with that level of criticism, you know the situation is beyond salvage. But here's the ultimate irony in all of this. While Reese is destroying her career with selfishness and drama, Caitlin Clark just led Indiana to their best season in years by doing the exact opposite. Clark makes everyone around her better, takes responsibility for losses, and never throws teammates under the bus. She's building a dynasty through leadership and unselfishness, while Reese is ending her career through ego and entitlement. The contrast couldn't be more perfect. The final nail in the coffin came yesterday when the Sky announced they're evaluating all options for the future of the franchise. That's corporate speak for Angel Reese is done here. They're not even pretending anymore. The organization has made their decision, and now it's just about executing the plan. Whether it's a trade, a buyout, or something unprecedented, Angel Reese's time in Chicago is coming to an end, and it's going to be ugly. If you think the Sky are being too harsh, or if you believe Reese deserves another chance, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. But based on everything we're seeing, this situation is beyond repair. The Sky are going nuclear, and Angel Reese is about to find out what happens when you burn every bridge in professional sports. Her career as we know it might be over, and she has nobody to blame but herself.